Welcome to Chance Encounters, the show in which such and such occurs regarding dice. Last time, as our heroes were investigating the house across from the scene of the fire at Menagerie's house, they were able to encounter this mysterious figure in black who smoked out the room and disappeared out the window. BB then made the executive decision to charge after this figure and leapt out the window, presumably to get very injured once she found, empty arms. But as we returned, BB was able to tap into this yet undiscovered piece of her power and was able to create a concussive blast and propel herself to safety, landing very dexterously, very agilitally on her feet.
Yes, we are about growth here. We are learning, we are developing, we're thriving.
Right.
That night, your teacher, Pantheon, brought you out into the city to have a sort of what she called field trip that was also sort of on the down low, the final part of your investigation until you were to just kind of drop it, leave it alone, let her give everything over to Fortress, and call it a day, at least for now. So she took you deep into the bustling downtown area of the first city and then took you to this sort of hidden, semi-hidden underground area that's just thriving with nightlife called Subterra Neon. You then went to meet a professional informant / ring fighter host named Triple Decker, who gives information freely to anyone who is able to defeat him in the ring, which you then promptly did.
We beat his ass.
We ruined that man's whole career.
Yeah, we really embarrassed that man.
And then with the information that you earned, you were able to ask him about various things regarding your case. He then gave you some very interesting information regarding a person with maybe some fire-based abilities named Igneous, who had come to him some months ago and was meant to meet with Detective Asher, who you had met previously, but who mysteriously disappeared, or at least never showed up to that meeting. And Decker had not seen either of them since, either Igneous or Detective Asher. You then went off into the city proper to enjoy the next phase of your training that would presumably normalize a bit. And it did. Over the next little over a month, you find the true essence of who Pantheon is as a teacher. As the insane events of your first week sort of fade into the background of your lives, you find yourself on this intense workout regimen. You find yourselves getting stronger, gaining more and more will to push through, and you begin to socialize. You begin to make friends. The early stages of friendships with some people that you've met and already had some adventures with. And you find Pantheon really opening up in a different way. And you start to understand why she was trusted with this job in the first place, a side of her that you had previously not seen. Her training regimens are intense but fair. She brings you through this extremely well-rounded course. You're learning basics of investigation, different combat styles. You're even able to master a particular combo move together and are working on another that we've discussed previously, that you really start to learn sort of the ins and outs of how you work. And as the days roll on, you start to think that maybe this is what this place is supposed to be like. Before you know it, you find yourselves just about halfway through your first round of training, the preliminary 3-month course, before you will be given your costumes and sent out into the pool of preliminary missions.
Oof.
So what we're going to do now is I'd like to go around and just very briefly hit a few bullet points of things that your characters have done over the last month. Would anyone care to start? We'll do Eric first if
Oh man, okay.
we had some. Yeah,
I guess.
Don't make eye contact with the teacher.
the teacher. Yeah, the teacher vibes. The teacher Zoom room vibes hit hard just now, where
Yeah,
everyone stays
truly.
on mute.
Turns off camera.
It's too real.
So one thing that we got to do over this time skip is take a level up, which gave us 1d6. So BB took a 1d6 in intelligence, and over this time, along with her training and training with the group, and also trying to master her new concussive force powers, excuse me, she researches more about Nova West, and she really tries to figure out just what this community is and why Troubleshooter would have come at her so incredibly hard when she did. And so this is amounted to BB whenever she sees Troubleshooter in a restaurant, on the quad, wherever, chasing her down and asking her if she'll go get food together or have coffee together. And I assume this has maybe resulted in almost fistfights at points, but that does not stop BB. She is relentless. She's also researching a little bit more about the Titan wilds. What would she find out in just doing a general kind of World Book Anthology JSTOR research into? I think that's the second JSTOR reference this season, so you're welcome, Academia. What would BB find out as just kind of a general profile of this place, Ian?
So I'll start you off, and then I'll hand the mic over to Karina to sort of expand on it a little bit more.
Because then BB will go after this initial research. She will go to Hermone, Selene. Is it Selena or Selene? Selena, excuse me.
Yeah.
My bad. Selena.
It's okay.
She'll
So
go
the
to
basic-
Selena
yeah.
and ask what they believe one of the most important things to know about their culture is. That was terrible English, but from their perspective, what they cherish most about their culture, what they think is most important.
Okay. So the information that's out there that kind of most people know is that they broke off from the new forming governments pretty early on. Like we discussed, maybe within the first 40 to 50 years.
Yeah, you would know that it's been 262 years that they've been independent and isolationist.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And they broke off around the time that culturally, at least within Alma territories that were still forming at that time, really decided to shift focus away from trying to get back to Earth and, in a larger scale, trying to figure out what happened, what brought the first city to Paragon from Earth. It was when everyone sort of decided that was a lost cause. They were no closer to an answer, and they needed to solve the current problems that were happening and form a new way of life.
Mm-hmm.
And that particular nugget of knowledge has sort of branched off into different perceptions of who the Costati are, and that is the actual name of.
Gotcha. Okay, Costati.
Yeah. And when what that perception boils down to is, on the more positive side, there's sort of a minority of respect that happens there, a minority of people who think oh, good for them for keeping that torch alive and trying to figure that out. People who are probably a little bit more informed about the nature of what that place is like, and that they are actually very advanced scientists and have created a very functional way of life. But that is definitely a minority of loud opinions, because the most that you see is kind of overwhelmingly negative to neutral. The perception, mostly just among anyone for the most part, is oh, they're mysterious. We don't really know what they do because no one has seen them in almost 300 years. We have no idea what their lives are even like. We just know it's dangerous to go over there, and they don't want us to anyway. They never come out, so who knows? Mm-hmm. Sometimes there's fear attached to that. Sometimes there's mistrust, but mostly there's just leaving it alone. But the most negative opinions that you see are on two ends of a spectrum. The first end is an uninformed negative opinion, which is to the effect of, you know, oh, they live in the jungle and they rejected our governments and our civilization, so they must not be very advanced. But the other end of the spectrum is a little more informed perspective that is like, okay, well, they broke off while we were trying to solve these problems of like, how do we live here? How do we move on? How do we build these territories? There are, you know, cities that crime bosses are starting to create themselves and prey on people who are trying to build these civilizations. We're dealing with people with powers starting to be a thing. We really need to focus on this. And these people just gave up. They left, and they're these powerful warriors. They're these smart scientists, and they just want to, what, fuck off to the jungle and not get involved? So there's a certain amount of anger from some scholars, from some historians, for that reason.
Gotcha.
So that's the sort of wordy, wide range of perspectives that you're going to get about that. But at the end of the day, none of it is grounded in what they actually do or are like on a day-to-day, because no one goes there, and they don't come out. So it puts into perspective how strange it is that Haramon is here at all.
Okay. Haramon, what do you think is most important to you about your culture, where you come from? Why did you guys, as a follow-up question, choose to live with the Titans in the Titan Wild? Because that just seems like a real dangerous place to set up shop.
Well, and like Haramon has like think for a second.
Phoebe's like just laxing to the max and cleaning her nails, but staring at you very intently.
Going on a little bit of a face journey of like almost as if she's like thinking about what she's not allowed to say. Well, I mean, our ancestors were just really hurt and I mean, families were torn apart. Yeah, budding relationships were torn apart. Dreams were shattered. It clearly wasn't a natural phenomenon, at least to them and to us. That doesn't just happen. So when the world at large was trying to let it go and forget, we just couldn't forgive or forget. And I guess we didn't really know exactly what the Titan Wild was. We didn't really know that it was going to be that dangerous, and we almost didn't make it. I mean, those are very large predators that we had to learn to deal with. You know, started out with houses on the ground, quickly learned that wouldn't work. And I guess the most important thing to understand about us is that we are a people with determination unwavering. I've researched us too before I came here to see what I might be up against. And it seems like some people think that we still want to go back if we could, or make everyone else go back if we could. And that's not true. I'm sure there are some people back home, because we're not a monolith either, who would go back to Earth. But for us, it's more about the accountability about what did this to us in the first place. Because we believe that just because time passes and life goes on, that it's fine now, that it wasn't still wrong that it happened. So we have very strong beliefs, and that's not to say we are not open to new ones or different ones, as evidenced by my being here, really. But we won't sacrifice our own just because someone tells us to, I guess. Yeah. I mean, the other thing I saw, which stung a little bit, was thinking that we were somehow savage or primeval or not advanced. And that's not true. We have technology that would probably make a quick step, take a step back. I mean, but we definitely are very guarded, and it's sort of, when I see the negative opinions, I appreciate the positive opinions, no matter how uninformed. But when I see the negative ones, it is a little vindicating. It is a little, what's the word? It feeds into that bias that we have at home. But I'm trying not to let that affect me too much, but don't think that's working. I'm not having a good time.
I'm real sorry that it's been kind of a hard adjustment, but I hope I get to see where you come from at some point. I know that I only have a couple little other things that Baby's gonna do, but I want to ask this question too. Why did you come here?
Well, I can't exactly tell the whole truth to anyone. But the vague thing that I sort of can tell people on the regular is that at least my city and a couple other cities decided that after over 250 years that it would be worth a shot to just see what's happening out here, and see what, what's going on, really. Because if there is some sort of agreement that can be arranged or something that could benefit us all, why not take it, even if our MOs are so on the different ends of the spectrum. I mean, and yeah, there's more to it, but that's basically it.
Okay, that makes sense. And at this point, BB kind of nervously. So Corinne and I talked about how we probably are all vaguely aware of when each other's birthdays are. And I know that Haramones is coming up. So BB will pull out this very shoddily made cake. Because another thing she's trying to do is learn to cook better over the month. Can I roll for how good or bad this cake is, Ian?
Sure, but I would just let you have it be good if you wanted it to be.
But we gotta gamify it a little bit. Can it be
Sure.
Dex or intelligence?
I think it's intelligence, because baking is a very scientific sort of.
But also Dex, because it's how good it looks. Not how good
That's
it
true.
tastes.
That's true.
Yeah. I think it's a judgment call.
What about
Okay.
compromise?
I think whichever
willpower.
Willpower would be worse for BB.
And then we'll keep moving.
I'll do intelligence.
We'll keep moving through.
That is, that's 2 out of 2 with a 6 and a 1.
It's
so
good.
It's a pretty good cake. It's maybe a little bit too salty. There's a little too much of a pinch of salt. Is there anything else? The final thing. She is trying to figure out if Dr. Guest is actually a doctor, and if so, where he was educated.
And I will tell you that goes nowhere.
Oh, fuck. I think yes.
In fact, Dr. Guest is kind of hard to, I mean, he's always hard to pin down, but the thing is, you've never really tried to look for him before.
Mm-hmm.
And up until this point, you didn't even know he had an office.
Yeah, that's true.
Up until this last point. But now that you're looking for him, it's sort of strangely even harder to find him because he's not just showing up to watch you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It seems as though he's sort of, I don't know how it seems. He's just not around.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think you've scarcely seen him at all since the last time you spoke.
That's either terrifying or like kind of the vibe when like a kid is like, I'm independent, and then I don't know, the parent just like leaves them alone.
Yeah.
Do you wanna go next?
Yeah, because there's things that piggyback. So I think the main thing that Haramon tries to get done is I took my D6 in strength because I'm trying to be all rounded because I like to be a Mary Sue because that's fun for me and we're here to have fun. She tries to ingratiate herself, endear herself to the other teams as much as she does you guys. Like she does hang out with you guys a lot, and if you guys want to hang out, like she will cancel other things in favor of you. But the two teams that she sort of like bros down with over this month are Team Tonitrus and Team Prestige. And like at the start of the month, doing pretty great, getting back into training, something that she's comfortable with. But then by the end of the month, as like her birthday draws closer and closer and closer, and sort of like she's thinking about stuff that happened in those first 2 weeks, like the depression do hit, and her mood sort of just like goes down the toilet, and she shows up for everything, but it does seem a little bit like going through the motions. So I think that birthday cake thing like hits hard. And she's very grateful, and I think does cry a little bit. But yeah, I think she like, if you guys need something from her to show you how to do something that like the cooking thing, if you want help, like she'll show you how, or at least how she cooks. And like she cooks for Team Prestige and Team Tantris, and hangs out with them. Yeah. Then that's her. She's a little sad right now. And I feel bad that I keep opening episodes with Haramon being sad, but like, it's just how she is a lot of the time because she has a lot on her mind. Yeah, and I think one of the more important things with the Team Tonitrus, Team Prestige stuff is that miraculously to me, her and Mr. Menagerie are like hitting it off really well. Oh, wow. And the other thing is her and Backtrack are in like a fun, casual relationship.
Wow.
So as many times as she asks you guys to like be out of the house for a couple hours, when you come back, there is always like a home cooked meal, like as repayment.
That's not what I thought you were going to say.
That's also not what I thought
you were going to say. There's the stench of just like sex.
No, it's
a sweet relationship.
Yeah. Emphasis on casual, but like they are also forming a friendship and will hang out outside of those times. But yeah.
Gotcha. I'm sure.
Backtracks it.
Sitting there. K-I-S-S-I-G. I'm sure Silhouette and BB appreciate the food post going out to do other things.
Cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So if Haramon's about to be in the shitter emotionally, that's why.
How has Silhouette been doing? /what?
Well, first of all, I either forgot or didn't know we were leveling up 1d6. So do we just pick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever you want to put it in.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and say that it's added to her intelligence.
Yeah.
Because Silhouette and Wi-Fi have been hanging out, and I'd like to think that she's learning stuff from Wi-Fi.
Mhm.
They're doing a lot of like coding and hacking competitions together. You know, just pals being pals.
Hell yeah.
Because you're doing that, I will say that you are aware that she is actively working on what BB had asked, but
What did
she's
BB ask? I forgot.
about looking into Detective Asher.
Oh, hell
She
yeah.
has been
Okay.
working on that, but when you like ask to see it, if you ask to see it, she's like, I'm not going to show you anything until I have it.
Okay.
And I don't want you to be involved in what I have to do to look into this
Okay.
because I don't want you to be culpable.
Oh my
That's
God.
essentially
Okay.
what she's saying when
I
she
love
talks
that.
about this.
Okay.
But she is doing it.
Okay. Great. Well then, yeah, so that's me and Wi-Fi. Siphon and I also hanging out. We went skating together and I broke my ankle and she fixed it.
Who's Siphon for the
So Siphon is a
uninitiated?
character that we have not met yet. They're on Diamond
Okay.
Soul's team. They have healing powers and some other fun stuff. When we get to meet them, we'll see some of that. But yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then okay, would Silhouette know about Haramon's birthday?
Yeah, I think we generally have like over the month have like we just learned basic info about each other,
Okay.
like favorite foods, favorite colors, favorite flowers, all that weird shit.
And it's still another like
I love that favorite
Um,
flowers is in that list.
I don't know. People, I mean, Haramon makes perfume oil as a hobby, so it's
Gotcha.
important to know.
because we're in like late June now.
Yeah, Haramon's birthday is early July, July 7th, so
Okay.
I
it's
think-
happening soon.
Gotcha. Okay. I think BB misreads it as June instead of July or something. Regardless,
It still hits.
it's within the
still-
general time frame. It's just
Yeah.
on the wrong day.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then in that case, I guess I'll just like tie this in, but like, I like the idea of like, Silhouette like trying to work on like a prototype for like camouflaging and stuff for
Okay.
her friends, and so I'd like for as like a gift, or I don't even know if it's really a gift, but like just like a small like prototype of like whatever Silhouette is like the fabric that she's trying to make, like she gives it to Haramon just as like a I guess that's, yeah, a small gift just like that she's working on, but that's kind of it. Yeah. We don't need to go into it. Yeah.
So that's going to be in like pretty early stages, right?
Yeah. Nothing like crazy. It probably like doesn't even work that well.
Yeah. But this is a project that you can now like be working on over time.
Yeah.
And there's some other fun gadgets we talked about too that are fully done.
Yeah. Should I mention that too, or?
That's totally up to you, but it'll come up. It'll come up when you use it for sure.
Oh shoot. I guess okay. I guess I'll bring it up later.
Yeah, leave it as a surprise.
Yeah, surprise. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm all good.
Okay. So we find ourselves on a early sort of lazy Saturday afternoon. There's no training for the day. You're enjoying a sort of pleasant weekend. And Haramon, you have spent the morning there, like you got up early morning for one of the events that you've been doing with Mr. Menagerie.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go into a little detail about what they've been doing?
Yeah, so there are 3 people that Haramon over the course of the month would have asked to go out hunting to the nature island, because that she was already doing that, but she's doing it alone, and the loneliness was starting to hit. So the first person she asked was Troubleshooter, swung and a miss. The second person she asked was Helix,
who's very dodgy about
who's
it.
very
He's like,
dodgy
maybe
about
someday.
it, but is polite about it. And she's like, all right, no pressure, it's fine. The third person is Mr. Menagerie. And so like what she learned is that he will often go to that island too for slightly different reasons, but does agree to go on her hunts with her. And it makes her really happy that she has someone to like go do that with now.
So I think you guys find yourselves on the bullet rail on the way back. And you're about halfway back to the city, back to the school. It'll probably be maybe another hour, maybe 45 minutes to get back. And you're sitting on this not terribly crowded train. It's like coming back to the city from here early afternoon on a Saturday. Not that busy. And sitting next to you on probably not on the seat, but is this big mastiff who's just sort of sitting next to you, sort of looking around. You see a little kid walks by and like pets him on the head, and he turns and he gives you this knowing look. And as the kid sort of walks away and is shooed away by his mom, Menagerie turns back into himself and sits in the chair.
Living Animor.
Oh, man.
And you see him kind of... Sorry, Natasha, what?
I'm sorry. I was going to say, that gave me, like, Amira and asshole vibes.
Oh, God. Call back to our
the
home game.
Yeah.
So as he sort of tenses a little bit, he almost looks, like, slightly uncomfortable. And he reaches up and he, like, scratches a little bit too dog-like, and then he catches himself. You see a few eyes like, whoa, like I have like noticed that happen. The little kid turns around and is looking for the dog and doesn't see the dog, and is like, huh, and goes back.
Oh my God.
And
You just pet that man.
he goes, I really thought I'd be able to hold that longer.
Why do you keep doing this? And like, Haramon is like, I think fidgeting with like the strap of a big duffel bag that has a little bit of like LED type illumination along like the stitching, and she'll like occasionally open it, and like the little like when you open the freezer of like the ice wind coming out of the freezer will come out, and you gather like that's what she holds all of the meat that she brings back in. So it keeps, like every time, you just, what happens if you actually hurt yourself?
I'm not gonna hurt myself. I mean, I know when to turn back, evidently. It's fine. It's good practice to see if I can stay in form for the duration of a train ride.
That's fair.
We can very easily mark the point at which I turn back. It's good chronology. It's good practice. All in good fun, right?
Yeah, I mean, you lasted 2 minutes longer since the last time, so
that's something. Weird taste in my mouth, though. I don't think that panther sat well. I'm kidding. Come on. It's fun. This is fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
You see him sort of look around almost nervously, but not quite. And he hides it a little too well. Because you notice there are people sitting nearby, sort of well-dressed people who are just sort of out, are sort of taking a, like kind of trying to low-key take a picture of him, and people are like talking, and then when he sees, they look away.
I think if Haramon saw that, they would like just pick up the big meat duffel bag, bag of colding, and drop it in his lap, kind of hard, just to be a dick, and stand in, like get up and start holding the rail and stand in between.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you saw just before you did that, he was starting to raise his hand and give this big, flashy smile to those people, and then as you stand in the way, you see he kind of puts it down. And you don't have to do that.
Oh, you then don't look so perturbed by it.
Who's perturbed? I'm not perturbed. It's fine. I'm used to it. I'm sorry. Sometimes I forget who I'm talking to. there are nuances to this, and I think that's part of why I like hanging out with you so much. It's nice to be with someone who doesn't really care about my name.
Yeah. I mean, it's a name. I have a name. You have a name. We have names.
And I mean this in the kindest way possible, but when your name is on the side of buildings, forget it. This was fun. We should do it again sometime.
Yeah. And listen, just because you're used to it doesn't mean you have to put up with it all the time.
I'll keep that in mind.
Wait, so is he like famous?
Is he?
Are his parents famous? Because I know we know his parents have like a lot of money, but why are their names on buildings?
So BB, I would, since you grew up in the city,
famous.
BB, I would have normally said that you would know, but last session you said you didn't know what pizza is. So I feel like you might not be in touch with celebrities.
Yeah,
BB would know probably though.
BB lived the life of like. Sorry,
definitely know. I was just gonna say I would definitely know.
Yeah, Silhouette, you know. Mr. Menagerie's he brings a lot of buzz on campus, and a lot of people don't call him Mr. Menagerie. A lot of people refer to him by name.
Mr. Handsome.
His name is Scott Silverland.
Scott, dude.
Jesus Christ.
Scott. I had to sit on Scott for 2 days.
And
Scott.
Hopefully not literally.
The Silverland name carries a lot of weight because his parents are very, very famous for a very specific reason. They were a very powerful superhero husband and wife duo. And they were very famous. Not in the Nexus of Valiance, but they did their own thing, and almost in a more like prestige kind of a way.
Mm-hmm.
They recently, very, very recently, like within the past year, publicly unmasked themselves and retired and revealed themselves to be philanthropists and business owners. And so there's a lot, and I mean a lot, of buzz about them, you know, and who they are, the Silverlands. And so him being on campus, he has a little more notoriety than a budding superhero maybe ought to.
Gotcha. Okay. Good to know.
So we're now going to cut over to BB and Silhouette, who find themselves on this Saturday afternoon, sitting on the couch with not much else to do, sort of having a conversation and just sort of mindlessly flipping through the channels on TV. What are you guys talking about at this moment, if anything?
Oh no. Mindless chatter.
I thought you already had something.
There is something. Yes. I mean, I'll just skip to the something if you want, but if you guys are already talking, we'll transition and it will be interrupted by something that you see on TV.
We should be ranking our favorite Pantheon power, like 1 to 5.
There we go. That's it.
Yeah.
Cool.
I actually don't know.
I forget what Pantheon's powers are, so
list them off for me.
Strength, speed, flight, invulnerability, thunderbolts.
I mean, invulnerability's gotta be number 1. Like,
I don't know. I'd really love to fly. Do you think maybe she could like pick us up
probably.
and like fly us around?
Super strength and flying, that seems doable.
Yeah, I like both of those ideas.
Well, maybe that will be next training session.
Pantheon just holding both of us, just like
yeah,
flying around.
Exactly.
And as you're sort of laughing, you're having this conversation, you're still kind of hitting the button. Which of you is flipping through the channels, by the way? Who has the remote?
I don't.
Okay.
I'll take it.
So Silhouette, you're flipping through and you stop on a news channel and you see what looks like this big event. And I think maybe you stop because BB has a clear reaction to it, but you're not sure what it means.
She stiffens up and grabs the sides of her chair really tight, and she's like white knuckling.
Oh no.
What you see is a press conference. You see, it looks to be in the first city somewhere, maybe in the financial district or downtown, kind of hard to tell. A huge crowd is gathered of people from all walks of life, as well as journalists who are taking down their questions and such. You see them all gathered in front of this huge, glistening silver tower that at the bottom level of the tower it's more squat. There's like a full like kind of mansion-sized building that then sort of erupts into a tower, into this big skyscraper. And that's sort of a ways off, sort of in the background. Not too far, but there's a big kind of a stage that's been set up outside in front of the front doors of this place. And a podium. And standing in front of the podium is a woman speaking and addressing the crowd. She's a tall woman of about maybe 50. She has kind of hard eyes, but a big, warm smile with long black hair pulled back into a stylish ponytail. She's wearing this black pantsuit that fades up into this white sort of half cape that seems to sort of give the illusion, the echo of a lab coat around her, but in this fashionable sort of business-like high fashion way. And you can't help but immediately note the resemblance to BB. And you see that there is a little byline underneath, like, you know, where it says who's speaking. And it does say Dr. Tara Baker. Behind her, you see 5 people. And these are people that you know very well. Not personally, but they're people that anyone in the First City, and really in Alma territories in general, would know about. You see standing behind her in formation are the Arbiters, the most famous superhero team out there right now, arguably even more famous than Nova because of the current generation. You see they almost look like a band, like a Disney Channel band in a weird sort of a way. They're all wearing these sort of matching uniforms. There's 5 of them. They're all very like attractive, young, like magazine cover looking, like young 20-somethings.
One Direction.
And I'm not going to go into super detail about them necessarily yet, but I will say that one of them is standing in front of the others, who is, you know, to be the leader of the Arbiters.
Harry Styles.
His costume is outfitted with a symbol that it's like a color wheel with red, green, and blue in wedges. He has this very sleek sort of domino mask with a facial like buttress around framing his jaw. He has short curly hair that's been dyed bleach blonde, almost white. And he has this big smile as he stands like sort of just behind and to the right of Dr. Baker. And this is RGB, the leader of
okay. Wow. I have that written down from like forever ago. That's crazy.
You hear BB go, "That's my mom." And then
that was me as a reaction, not even Joe. I'm sorry.
And then she slips back into her accent and she goes, "I was supposed to be an arbiter before I came here."
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
As you continue watching, you hear her kind of mid-sentence as she's addressing the crowd, and she says, oh, and you also see that there's a big ribbon that's behind her that's like in front of this building.
Does she have the big scissors?
She does not.
Damn it.
And as she continues speaking, she says, and it is with great pleasure that I introduce to you the Arbiter's Tower, a beacon of justice for heroes who are at ground level, heroes that are accessible to you, that answer directly to the people they serve. And it is with even greater pleasure that I introduce to you this. The Arbiter's Exhibit, at the bottom floor of the tower, where you may interact with them for questions, where you can see monuments to their exploits, the lives that they have saved, and see retellings of their stories from their points of view. Without further ado, I declare the Arbiter's Exhibit open to the public. As she reaches into her sort of inside cape pocket, she pulls out what looks like this small pen, and she hands it to RGB, who waves and gives a big smile. You see flashes of cameras. As he takes this pen, he goes over to the ribbon, and he holds it up, and you see this small, like, red-hot laser cut through the ribbon. And just the scene erupts into applause. People begin to, Dr. Baker, Dr. Baker, and people just like erupt into questions, and it sort of devolves from there.
I ask baby, do you want me to change the channel?
Yeah, if you would. And she'll start going into a description of how her powers developed and how it kind of just fundamentally shifted her relationship with her parents. My childhood after 8 years old was school training, home, sleep, school training, home, sleep. Honestly, not even a lot of school. I'm here so that I won't be with my mom anymore. And also, I want to be a hero more than anything.
Yeah, I can see that. I can totally see that. I think you prove it every day that we all work together. I'm sorry you went through that, BB.
That means a whole lot.
I go in for a hug. Is it reciprocated?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're Hug Squad now.
We're Hug Squad now. And I would like to think that as we're hugging, there's like an infomercial playing in the background.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's prestige here.
Yeah.
I love that. A prestige commercial comes on, and you see him like advertising his proprietary barbecue sauce or something.
Yes. Oh man,
Bro.
It's at this moment that all of you get a group text from Wi-Fi.
Check
my
it.
baby.
Including you. And
Yeah.
you are...
I look at Mr. Menagerie.
You're about 20 minutes from there now.
Okay.
Oh.
So you get this text, and it says, without further ado, I present to you the information requested.
Ooh.
Oh.
Come meet me. I have presents.
Oh,
Ooh,
gee whiz.
presents.
Shall we book it over to the team Dr. Quipstep's house?
Yes.
All right. So I think Silhouette and I start heading over there.
Okay. So you head there, and Do you catch up around
Yeah,
that time?
I'll text back and say that I'm like 20 minutes out.
Okay.
And then like when we like get to the station, I'll have Mr. Menagerie like keep my half of the meat, like, and then I'll swing by later to get it later.
Okay.
And then I'll just book it.
Okay. So you guys meet back up in front of the house, and you knock on the door, and the door opens digitally as it did before. And you see Wi-Fi's personal robot once again greet you.
Oh, yeah.
Says, "Ah, yes, Madam Wi-Fi awaits for you upstairs. Please proceed. Should you desire a beverage, all you have to do is ask." And you see this little like boop, 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 pop up on his face, and it makes like this pixelated smile. And then he wheels himself away back over to the kitchen.
Oh my god. So cute.
Very cute. Make our way to Wi-Fi's room.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
So you make your way up there, and as you open the door and you see her kind of command central set up, she spins around in her chair and she goes, "Hello, happy Saturday."
Hello. Give us the presents.
Alright. I don't like to admit when things take long, and this took long. I mean, long for me. Granted, with perspective, a month and a half-ish is pretty fucking outstanding for digging up information on a federal agent, but I digress. So, our detective Asher has a altogether unexpected past, and frankly one that I should have heard of. I suspect there's been some covering afoot. I would have invited Teatro, but he's been in on it, so he knows. You want to hear it, right? I assume you want to hear it.
Yeah, that's...
So, a while back, she was kind of a big name. While I can't exactly hack into the AID mainframe and, get access to her personal record, what I could do is find cases she consulted on, which even still required some string pulling, but over 5 years ago, before that point, she was putting away some pretty big names. Some major crime bosses and a couple of big super type villains. Ones that were caught by heroes, but were unable to prosecute. She dug up evidence that put some pretty important people away. Kind of a golden child. There was one particular case about 5 years ago. She gave testimony against a government official. His name was Albert Rose. Her testimony claimed that he was complicit in illegal experimentation on superhumans. It was her belief that he was dealing in a sort of illicit black market trade of DNA, the purpose of which is either unknown or covered up. Either way, the case was dropped, and she was humiliated. She hasn't worked a major case since. It was like pulling teeth to find anything she's worked on. Just some strange sort of fringe cases. That's what I have.
I think I would have over the past month at some point, because we in our group chat, our literal group chat, we said that we probably passed on all the information we got from Triple Decker to Wi-Fi.
Mhm.
I think I would have at that point also mentioned the fact that I kind of obscured that I had seen Asher in this dream to Wi-Fi. Would that have modified the information we got at all?
Yeah, she goes, so the idea of your dream / memory.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know how that fits in. The PDP, wait, just to clarify, the PDP is not a secret program, right? It's secret regarding what they, kind of the intricacies of what they do, but they're a public, like, power development program. Send your super kid.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
That's pretty public.
It's a pretty public thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she goes, having an agent of AID overseeing a training exercise like that, I don't see a particular utility in it, especially considering the other figures you mentioned all dressed the same strange military chic, but I just don't know what to do with that. It doesn't quite add up. But I will say I was not expecting to find that particular case. Her getting involved in these events now suddenly begs more questions, doesn't it?
It surely does. Begs a lot of questions. So just to confirm, sorry. So she was involved in this case where there was someone who was like experimenting with powers and implementing those into people and augmenting it, and it didn't work out for her, and she was disgraced because of it.
Yeah, she was.
Gotcha.
She was giving testimony against one of her superiors, basically, within the government.
Okay.
An Alma agent who was above her station. She was presenting testimony on a case that implicated him in trading in superhuman DNA.
Gotcha. Understood. Okay. Thank you.
But there was not clearly a satisfactory evidence, and she was kind of publicly disgraced and at least discredited. There wasn't like this big moment of humiliation. It's just her career seemed to have suffered in one way or another, and after that, nobody really heard from her much.
Yeah. Definitely.
And the cases that she's worked since have been very like fringe and not as high profile as what she had done before that.
Gotcha. Understood. Okay. Well, thank you for all that information. It's surely more than we had before. Maybe if we keep putting all our heads together, we can actually figure out who this person is.
Well, given this and given what we learned from Mr. Decker, one can't help but wonder if maybe this is one agent on the right side of history. Maybe.
I don't trust her yet.
I don't trust anyone. Well, that's not true. I trust some people. I think I trust you guys, which is interesting.
Wow, I love that.
I think we trust you too.
She winks at Silhouette. She's being an ass. She trusts you.
Yay.
She goes, I'm sorry I couldn't get more. I would love to hack into an actual federal mainframe, but unfortunately I think they're aware of people with my particular skill set. They have safeguards in place. Maybe someday.
Yeah, don't worry. You did your best.
I really did.
So where do we go from here?
I don't know. I guess we could confer with Pantheon. But I mean, I don't fully trust Pantheon yet either, but she may know something.
Okay, well now this is out of character, but we know the stuff about Asher now.
Yeah.
We should probably figure out more about Igneous, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So you guys now have the rest of the day to just kind of do with as you see fit.
Do we want to go to the library, or do we want to like hit Wi-Fi with the Igneous information and see if she can pull anything out of that?
Oh, I thought you just said that you gave her that over the month.
We did. Okay, so she wouldn't have found anything on Igneous?
No.
Okay, gotcha. So that's probably
Spooky.
that may be a fruitless effort for us as well.
I mean, there might have been reference to him, to a person named Igneous around that time, fighting in the ring, like Decker said, and beating Decker in that instance.
Yeah.
But that's as far as that goes.
Okay, gotcha.
So I will say there is a digital paper trail for that event that she was able to find.
Is there any?
So that
footage?
seems to have been true.
Is there any footage?
Ooh, interesting. I like that. Yeah, sure. So there, yeah,
Video
you
unlocked.
find some kind of shaky, like, phone camera footage of a person who is basically just wearing, like, jeans and a black hoodie.
Uh-huh.
And in instances where you might see his face, it's just, like, shadowed over a black mask that's pulled over. So you really don't see any defining facial features. And it's a pretty baggy sweater, too. So, like,
not even body type is really
not even body type is really, you know, he's maybe, like, kind of tall and at least vaguely athletic.
Gotcha.
You know, based on the way that he moves. But analyzing the fight with Decker, you see that Decker has actually divided himself into 3 just to fight this one guy.
Oh.
And you see him, very minimal movement, very, like, conservation of movement style. He has this very, like, sort of closed stance, not necessarily like a martial artist stance, the way that you've seen Helix fight or Tonatress, or even Backtrack. This is something more harsh and statuesque. Almost no movement, centering himself. And as the blows come in, he tries to just sort of push himself out of the way, but he pulls up these just walls of fire out of the ground, and he catches pieces of the 3 clones, like, outfit on fire. But there's this level of control, and there's very little movement in that as well.
Gotcha.
There you just see, like, a slight head movement, and the fire erupts and changes and swirls, forms into, at one point, this almost dragon-like shape that swirls around and keeps the 3 clones in place before he finally submits, and the crowd goes wild, and that's when the footage ends. You see immense control of this fire. It doesn't look like Decker was seriously burned or injured, and yet he was completely engulfed in flames at times.
Firebenders be crazy. Cool. That's good to know and see.
BB, I'm gonna actually. This is an interesting development, so I'm gonna have you roll an intelligence check for me here, using your newfound intelligence.
Hey.
I'm gonna have you see if
More
you know
smart.
something.
1 out of 2.
1 out of 2. Okay, yeah. The economy of movement rings familiar to you, but it's not specific. It's just like
I can't link it to anything. It just looks familiar.
it's like a type of training, a type of movement here that's not particularly martial arts based. It's something else. That's like something that you might even do.
Okay. Interesting. I'll relay that idea to the rest of the group.
And you're free to draw your own conclusions too that BB can have too. I'm just not going to tell you what conclusions to make.
I'm not the conclusion that BB would probably come to is that this person was trained at the power development program to some extent, or is a trainer at that program, and was involved to some extent in that whole world that she was a part of before. That kind of like militaristic superhero thing. That's probably all she can discern from it. If he is a part of that, or if they, are a part of that program and that world, I think BB would be wondering why they're fighting Triple Decker. Like, why go to this pit fight ostensibly, and with the possibility of disgracing yourself.
Igneous is confirmed male, by the way.
Oh, confirmed male. Okay,
is,
yeah. Why would he go there and possibly disgrace himself? I think that's all.
Okay. So you guys sort of finish your business with Wi-Fi here and are now sort of left to have any more like weekend business for the day that you want to do before we move on to the next wave of events here. You can spend it investigating more if you want to, or you can go try to talk to someone. However you would spend this Saturday, we can quickly go through.
Well, we kind of got told to step back from investigating, like, thoroughly. And this was just kind of a delayed reaping of what we have sown.
Yeah.
In terms of looking for information. So, what do you guys want to do?
I mean, at some point, out of character, at some point I did want to talk to Pantheon about some things. But I don't think that necessarily has to be now. If you guys want to do something like together.
There's nothing I can think of.
We could just go have a meal together or something, or
sure.
do other stuff. So we're just team building still.
So on your guys' way out, and you're opening the door and you're heading out, you see Troubleshooter just getting home. You open the door and she sort of looks you in the eye and she furrows her brows for a second.
Hey, am I gonna get that coffee anytime soon?
Oh.
You're bringing your friends now to pester me about your business?
No, we were pestering Wi-Fi about something completely different. This is me fully solo pestering you right now.
And what worms has old Wi-Fi been digging up in your graves here?
Well, you could ask her for yourself. She's on your team.
Fair enough, but I prefer to look someone in the eye when they're instigating.
We're not instigating you.
I'm literally just trying to get a coffee out of you or something. If you want the as they used to say, the TLDR, investigating military presence around here, or police force, or not police, Alma, whatever.
She turns to Haramon and Silhouette and she goes, "Y'all mind scattering? I gotta have a word with the cowgirl for a minute."
No, I'd love to scatter.
Love
Scatter
to not
I
be
go.
Oh,
Very sarcastic with her. I make a point of it, but not in like a mean way. And I scatter.
I want a shirt that says "Scatter I Go."
Haramon will look Troubleshooter dead in the eye and just say, "Don't have too much fun," and follow Silhouette.
She closes the door behind you, like through you.
No.
Because she walks in past you, and then she turns around and she reaches like through your reach and pulls the door shut behind you with her eyes like an inch from yours, and then she pulls back, and then she huffs.
It's very gay.
She then walks over to the kitchen.
I follow her to the kitchen.
She opens up the fridge. She pulls out 2 bottles of something brown.
Sarsaparilla.
She pops them both open, and she slides one over to you. She then leans herself back against the kitchen island and takes a sip and goes, What exactly do you want from me, little one?
Evie's gonna just shrug off that little one. This isn't part of her growth.
Yes.
Well, I just have been researching Nova West a little bit. As much information as I can find online, but there's not a lot. Trying to find out about, is it No Man's Highway?
No One's Highway?
No One's Highway, sorry. Yeah, that place and other places around it. Kind of learning about how you guys have adopted this kind of cowboy thing. Look, first time you met me, everything you've said about me was right. Now I'm sorry if that disrespects you, even though, you know, cowboy is just an ideal. It's not a real culture. But I'm sorry if that in any way offended you. But this is who I am choosing to be. This is what feels authentically me. And I don't know, we have similar powers. We can do similar things. It might be nice to know one another and not have a adversarial, silent hatred.
She sort of grits her teeth without opening her mouth. She takes another big swig from this bottle. Have you brought it up to smell it?
Yeah, I'll smell it before I drink it.
It is a strong, cheap beer.
Okay. Just hit me with that PBR. I love it. I don't know if PBR is strong. I don't drink beer.
I don't know. I don't even know if beer is brown. Oops.
Whoopsie.
This one is. And she goes, funny world we live in. Look, I ain't got leave to be offended on behalf of my home. They got more important things to worry about than up-and-coming superhero wearing the same outfit as them. But what we do in Nova West and what I am here to do are married till death do they part. And upon death, I can assure you, they do not part. That place goes on, and it exists by necessity. There are things out there beyond Alma's reach. I can smell government on you and the way you move, the things you think, and the things you don't quite yet understand. I can see for miles, Ms. Bang. And I do mean that literally. And the thing is, I can't afford to be splitting my focus. I don't have to hate you. I don't have to like you neither. But you got the guts to be direct, and I appreciate that much. I also heard you put a couple nice-sized craters in the pavement a month or so back. That interests me more than anything else you said. I look at actions first. Words ain't ever unshot someone. You know what I'm saying?
I understand that probably more than anything else you've ever said. Look, we don't have to be friends. I just trying to understand the world better. I've never been out of First City. Maybe a mission here or there, but that's never, tourism. So I'm learning.
Well, I ain't been out of Nova for too terribly long myself. But
out of character, I didn't think that they dressed like cowboys. I thought that they had kind of just this general like wilderness explorer vibe, but I thought she dressed specifically like way different than I dress.
she does, yeah. And
Okay.
it varies. Yeah, that's kind of a slip up on my part saying what I just said, but like I think she was speaking more metaphorically.
Okay.
Like
I
you are
just
wearing
wanna-
the costume of the same genre, you know?
Yes, I just want to be sure I am not
Yeah.
fully culturally appropriating,
Yeah.
and that this is still based on the ideals and aesthetics of being a cowboy.
She goes, out of curiosity, why the Old West for you? What does it mean to you?
Well, it's finding trouble wherever it may lay its den and weeding it out. It's wandering from town to town, looking at people and taking them as they are and helping them. It's giving yourself, I don't know, to the world and trying to bring a little bit of calmness and straightforwardness and these are a lot of things that my father also believed. So it's a little bit of that and a little bit of just, it doesn't have to be just one person, but one person can make a difference. And I'm trying to find a balance in that kind of dichotomy right now.
Well, sometimes one person really doesn't have a choice. I get that.
Look, if you ever want to train together, I'm around. I can show you the, blast or whatever.
For Nova West, there is a truth to what you're saying. That era and the media it evokes, that it spawned, it's not necessarily about looking for trouble necessarily. It's an understanding that inevitably trouble will come find you. It'll come knocking, whether that be in the form of a rogue stranger, a bandit on a back kicking up sand, or a overzealous lawman, or a whole building full of overzealous lawmen. Oh, trouble will come. We make ourselves ready for that, and in my case, that required a bit of travel. I ain't here to be no superhero. I ain't here to put on a costume and a mask and run around saving cats out of trees. I'm here to hone what I need to know, to understand the threats and the systems that refuse to help us. We protect ourselves because no one else will. When I go home, that is exactly what I intend to do. I intend to leave this place and all of its shiny trappings behind in the dust. I like my dust a hell of a lot better. You want to be friends, all you got to do is stay out of my way. That goes for everyone. It ain't personal.
Look, you may not think that's heroic, but that sounds pretty heroic to me. And she holds out her bottle to cheers.
To something or other.
Uh,
And she just finishes it, the whole thing.
BB this whole time has been like,
It is
trying
not
not
the
to
best.
grimace. Yeah, and
Yeah,
trying
it
not
is-
to grimace, but she knew from the jump that she does not like beer.
Yeah. And I'm
so-
projecting my own feelings about beer here, but this stuff is gnarly
Yeah.
that she's got here.
So BB will kind of tip her metaphorical cap and
And then they
leave.
kiss.
But in spirit they kiss. Maybe in reality later, we'll see. But she
Spicy.
leaves and she starts coughing immediately as she gets out the front door and like, pours the beer out and runs to catch up with Silhouette and Hermone.
Okay.
Fuck, I love her. Shit. Oh boy. I mean, I would.
You
I
know
would
that
ask
TikTok?
What?
Wait, what?
Sorry, I'm talking about TikTok. You know that TikTok that's like, why is it spicy? That's cheesy.
I would go
Very true.
and try to find Pantheon, but I feel like that would be a little bit redundant of a scene.
Yeah, we could say that we just pass this info off to Pantheon and she gets back to us. Because she, I think, knows everything that Teatro and we would have told Teatro and Wi-Fi as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is true. And I will also say, as a point of note, she doesn't ever bring this stuff up again. Over this month and a half-ish, there's really not been any more discussion of the investigation on her part. And, to your surprise, you were never brought in to talk to Fortress. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Oh, didn't she say she was?
Pantheon said it was a probability, but it never happened.
But she also said she was gonna do it herself
Mm-hmm.
first.
Huh.
So if there's nothing else specific that you guys want to do, we'll move on to the next phase.
Ooh.
So you guys make your way back to the house. It sounds like you had a particular plan after all.
because I have to swing by and get the spoils of the hunt
Mhm.
from Menagerie anyway. So I think I would just be like, do you guys just want to like have a barbecue with them? And whether or not they say it's okay, I think Hermone just shows up and is like, I'm here to cook for you.
Yeah.
And they have
Hell
a fun evening.
Cute. Love it. Stan it.
Yeah, so that does happen. And like Teatro will sort of tentatively like come down and then he'll join. And you'll see some of the weird strained relationship that's happening with that team where like they are functioning as a team pretty well, but Teatro just doesn't seem to like Mr. Menagerie at all. But Mr. Menagerie is trying really hard now to like include him and be nice and correct his mistakes. But
What's not to
Teatro's
like
just
about
not
Scott?
having it. Teatro is not having it, so he's just very like, Yep. When he tries to talk to him. But he like Teatro hangs out like kind of uncomfortably, but more comfortably with you guys there than he would otherwise. And he like has a pleasant time.
Cute.
Does there okay, this is more of a question for like retroactively, but is there ever a time that I'm like over it and it seems like the meter is getting to the limit with Teatro?
No, not specifically.
Okay.
Not yet, no.
Not yet.
It hasn't been long enough for that.
Okay.
Yeah. So you guys enjoy a pleasant evening and then return to your house for a night's sleep. The next day, you guys wake up, do whatever it is you're going to do. I imagine there's a period where you guys will like all go out as a group, like out of the house to go do your things that you're going to do
Sure.
today. Whatever it is you're going to do.
Mhm.
And as you step outside and begin to make your way across campus, maybe to go get breakfast. You guys are on your way to like, you're going to go out for like Sunday breakfast.
Sunday brunch.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're going
For
out.
sure.
So it's like kind of like 11 or so.
Hmm.
And as you're walking out, you start to hear sort of gasps.
Hello?
You start noticing small crowds of people gathered around their phones.
Oh
People
no.
have like stopped and everybody's like watching stuff. Some people are like on laptops sitting in the area. You see a lot of the crowd in the in like the outdoor food court area. People are just like gathered around, sort of like watching. Some people are like kind of holding each other, confused, and you hear this like sonic boom sound as collectively everyone looks up and toward the towering administrative building. From the top of it, you all see Fortress rocketing away,
Uh-oh.
the silhouette
no.
of her flying out toward the city.
Is there maybe there like in maybe there's like the little like TVs that like some restaurants and
I was gonna say I
will
take out my
have?
phone.
You get a text from Wi-Fi that
Ugh.
says, "Are you seeing this?"
No, what?
And it is at this point that you notice the I think there could be like TVs that are placed out here for people to see, and they're switched on to a news station. And you see breaking news coverage. You see the Arbiter's Tower that you had seen just yesterday. You see the Arbiter's exhibit on the bottom floor with smoke pouring out of the windows.
Bruh.
What is going
Not
on?
There are
even
fire
one
trucks
day.
surrounding the place. Crowds being pushed back by authorities. And you see that the byline reads, Dr. Tara Asher kidnapped.
Oh,
Doctor?
Oh, not Asher. Sorry. Dr. Tara Baker kidnapped.
Oh, I was like,
No. Dr.
there's
Tara
so
Baker.
many questions.
Sorry, I fully ruined that with stupid dyslexic brain.
no, it's good. It's good. It's
good.
good.
Yeah.
Here, let's get a
So-
clean take. What?
So
Whoa!
the byline reads, I'm doing it again. The byline reads, Dr. Tara Baker kidnapped from Arbiter's exhibit. Do you like kind of continue to watch it?
I think Haramon's staring straight at BB.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I don't know how BB's reacting. I don't think it's with like worry. Like I don't think I think she might be shutting down a little bit.
Yeah. The reporter continues. We are on scene here at the Arbiter's exhibit when just minutes ago, a fire broke out in the middle of the exhibit. The Arbiters were quick to respond, but were not able to locate Dr. Baker.
You probably see BB's like fist like tense as they do sometimes when she's troubled.
They continue that authorities are creating a perimeter. They're creating a search. As of yet, no one saw the culprit. No one saw the start of the fire. But that it has been put out, that it's under control. And as you're watching, you see Fortress arrive on scene. The reporter says, breaking, Fortress has just arrived on scene. And you see the camera kind of shift and move over, and Fortress is kind of like shooing reporters away, getting toward the scene.
I think BB might still have her phone in her hand. I'm pretty sure she does. Her hands are just kind of tense around it. She opens a text message, puts in Pantheon, and it just says, "What do I do?"
Oh.
She's here immediately. She reaches out like tentatively, like she's not sure if this is okay or not, but she reaches out like she's going to put her arm around you.
I don't think she reciprocates that. I think she just kind of she'll like grab her hand or something and squeeze it, but we're not doing hugs right now.
Okay. She goes, we need to get you out of here right now.
Yeah.
Back to the house.
Yeah. Okay. I'll follow her.
as you're walking back, BB, your phone begins to ring and ring.
No, don't do this to me. I look at the caller ID.
The caller ID says that it's your mother.
Oh?
I answer. Hello? Hello?
As this happens, Pantheon stops. Do you guys also stop?
Yeah. I think Hermon has very deliberately been like in a protective sort of flanking position around BB.
I don't know if Baby's put this on speaker yet, but she might in a second. She wants to hear who talks back.
For a moment... Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, I think I'm following suit of Hermon and just trying to like copy her like protective stance or anything like that for BB.
For a moment, you just hear heavy breathing on the other end of the line.
You hate to hear that.
Then a voice begins to speak, not your mother's.
Male?
Yes. And it says, I told you where to find me. Just as he told me that you would be the ones to help uncover the truth. But you didn't come. Now I have taken the mother of all lies. Come.
Where? I put this on speakerphone. I when I hear that it's not my mom, I put it on speakerphone.
Come to the place where I was reborn in flames. You three, alone. Anyone else, or she will be the first of many to burn.
Man, I was gonna say that BB might say like, I think you chose the wrong target, but that's not what she's feeling. I think she says, do you mean Amberley, or do you mean the house on Moonlight Academy property? Or do you mean Triple Decker Stadium?
I showed you. I left it for you. The place where it all started. Mm-hmm. My home.
We'll be there.
You hear a kind of shuffling of the line, this kind of the phone being sort of handed off and held up. And you hear, Bailey?
Mom?
Bailey, don't listen to him. He's insane. And it pulls away again. Come. The truth waits for no one. And it hangs up.
Bailey does just look at Pantheon.
Did you ever put it on speaker?
Yeah, I did. After I hear that it's a man's voice, I put it on speaker.
Pantheon is just like, she doesn't seem to know what to say.
Oh my god.
Do we have to go to Amberley? I don't know what he's talking about.
It's the house, right?
It has to be the house.
I think Caramon starts pulling up Magrail times, like travel times and departure times for Amberley Station.
Oh,
hold on, we can't. This is a trap. I can't let you just go by yourselves.
Look, I don't feel the obligation to save my mother, but that is what heroes do.
It is what heroes do. But we also do this smart and we do it right.
He's gonna kill her. What do you want from me?
He won't. We'll help her. Let me call Fortress. We'll make a plan.
I think she's a little busy right now, if you haven't noticed.
To the house. Right now.
All right.
Please,
Are
we will solve this. And we'll do it fast.
Are we going for the house that we're staying in currently?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. Not the big house, the house that we moved into post the fire. Okay, gotcha.
As you go back to the house, you see her. She calls Fortress. And she steps out into another room.
I just spilled water all over myself.
She comes back after just a minute. And she goes, she's on her way back. There wasn't much to be done there. The deed is done. The investigators are working it out, but she's coming back. She needs to talk to you right now. We need to go.
Why is it us? I don't understand.
I don't know. There's something happening here beyond any of us, and we're going to figure it out together. We're going to do it right. I know this is hard. I know you just want to move. But think, if he's in Amberley, if that's where he's taking her, there's a window. He's probably not even there yet. He's not going to kill her until he sees you. He wants something from you, from all of you.
I don't have it. We don't have anything to give him.
I know.
I think he just wants us to listen. Everything he's been doing has been vying for our attention. He wants us to know something.
I think that actually hits BB pretty hard. And she just kind of looks at her mom. Not in an aggressive way, just like it's the comprehension of maybe things she's been learning over the past couple weeks and kind of how that's now applying to hero work. Listening, that is.
Come on. We can make this right. And she leads you to the administrative offices.
Follow.
She brings you up, and you see Fortress not quite having broken a sweat, but in full costume. Her cape just like flying out behind her. As you see her, as if she just arrived. The wind is still rushing through the room as you open the door to the office. And you see her hit a button on her desk, and the wall behind her that is usually a window that is open. It looks as though she just flew through and landed. It closes and shades and blocks out the light from outside. As you arrive, you see Dr. Guest as well. And he turns the corner and steps into the office. He doesn't sit. He stands with his hands kind of steepled in front of his stomach. That same neutral expression that he always wears, but Fortress is like clearly deeply concerned. She goes, firstly, and she looks directly at BB and she says, I'm not going to be so naive as to ask you if you're all right, but if there's anything that I can do.
We just need to go to Amberley.
Pantheon said someone called you.
I would let Pantheon describe the call. I'm not going to do that myself.
And she does. Fortress, who is just listening intently, sort of with her hand in front of her mouth. And everything that You've given me, up until this point, the things that you learned from Decker. And there's a little edge in her voice when she says that toward Pantheon.
Uh-oh.
There is reason to believe that this could be the same person. But everything is so clouded. And she turns now to Dr. Guest, who sort of takes the leave to speak. He goes, yes. Clouded is indeed the proper word for this moment. I have revealed to you more than perhaps was mandated. But that is because I see events unfolding in a way that necessitates it. These events affect you, and they swirl around you. It is time for you to know that there is a black cloud growing on the horizon of the future, obscuring my view of potential events past a certain point. That point has come. I do not know what lies beyond this day. I don't know what could. Whatever this force may be, whether it be sentient, intelligent, or some unforeseen malfunction in my abilities, I do not know. But I will say this. There is no version of events where you three do not travel to Amberley this day.
Did you know my mom was going to be kidnapped?
He looks to Fortress for just a moment, like a fraction of a second, and looks back to you. I knew it was possible. Yes.
Baby doesn't say anything, but she does kind of like slam her fist down on the arm of her chair.
Her fate is no more set than the rest of ours.
So let's go. What are we waiting for? What, are we just going to talk more about this?
Fortress now steps forward, and that concern sort of washes away to this practiced resolve. She goes, I know that your instinct is to do this, and I understand what Dr. Guest is saying, but I cannot condone you three going alone. It is not safe. This is clearly a trap, and you, frankly, are, while incredibly gifted in your own rights, you are a month and a half into your training. To send you alone into the fray, practically as bait, is not what this institution stands for, and it is not what I stand for.
What have you been doing for the past month and a half? Because that's what this felt like. What are we but bait? I thought I was coming here to learn something, and maybe that's happened over the past month, but since we got here, we've just been told to shut up and keep quiet and let things keep happening to us. And now we're here, and people could die.
Phoebe, as someone who has let tragedy cloud their judgment and ruin their life, I don't want to be one of the people to tell you to shut up and take it, but we need to think about this.
She's willing to listen to Harriman.
I agree. We shouldn't go alone. We don't even know how he would know if we were alone or not from a certain distance. I mean, if it's really true what troubleshooter says that she can see for miles, we could have her posted up somewhere watching us. There are things we can do, but we have to think about them first.
Pantheon takes a big step forward at that. And she looks Fortress straight in the eye. And she says, let me go with them. No one knows me anymore. Least of all in a place like that. We don't need to endanger any more students. No one else needs to get hurt. But I am going with them. And Fortress then looks to Haramone and then very distinctly to BB. And there's this moment where she looks like she's sort of shaking something off. And then she looks back to Pantheon. She says, when I brought you into this, it was not to facilitate investigations for people at the start of their training. It was not to go behind my back. And Pantheon fully interrupts her. And she goes, if you didn't want me to do things my way, you shouldn't have brought me on in the first place. I have leave to train my team as I see fit. If this is what I want to do, this is how I'm doing it, and this is my method of teaching, class is fucking in session. I'm going. Do you want to stop me? Do you guys outwardly react to that?
Yeah, I think this is now BB understanding why she's our squad leader.
Mm-hmm. I think Haramone, at the height of Pantheon raising her voice, I think Haramone will reach out and just not even palm, back of hand on Pantheon's shoulder of bro, this is uncomfortable. Calm down.
I think Silhouette starts smiling. just like how I am right now.
I don't know how to react, so here we go.
Yeah.
Fortress just takes this very big, deep breath. She goes, if what Decker suspects to be true in Amberley is, then big names cannot afford to be seen there. It is the safest option if someone is to investigate for it to be you. And she looks to Dr. Guest, and the three of them share a look like there's something more here that's not being said. She goes, fine. You do this. You come back in 4 pieces. You keep me notified of what happens, of what you find. And in the sake of fair exchange, for the sake of safety, know this.
A clue.
I, as a rule, do not read people's emotions without their consent. Unless they are very specific, very dire circumstances. But sometimes a person's emotions are so on the surface, or being buried so ineffectively, so incongruous with what they're putting out, that I can't help but read them passively. I absorb them. And what I read from Detective Asher that day when she was investigating She was trying to hide something. And when it comes to someone with very little pretense investigating my student body, I feel no qualms in ascertaining whether or not that person is on the level. While I didn't sense any malice necessarily, what I did get was a very distinct attempt to hide and something akin to desperation. When all of this started happening, I called AID. They said that they never sent Detective Asher here.
Ruh-roh.
Harriman shoots a silhouette a look of like, yeah, that would make sense with what we know about her past BS.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're looking into her whereabouts, as far as I know.
Well, wait. BB has kind of just been sitting there using that new +1 to intelligence, trying to like process all of this information that's coming at her very rapidly. She goes, "What about the shadow powers? The powers of the person who led us away into the forest at Team Prestige's house? That could be Asher. I don't know if that's for sure, but there's at least one other person with powers on the board that's related to this."
I'm afraid I don't have any more information about that. I've never encountered anyone with powers like that. We've conducted our own investigation of the forest and found no traces other than traces of the battle that you claimed took place. The battle that did take place.
And out of character, in our investigation, nothing came up that would have referenced Asher having powers.
No.
Okay, gotcha. Well, there's no time like the present.
She turns back to Dr. Guest again, and Pantheon is putting on kind of a stone face here, trying not to tip something. Looks like she's trying not to look at Dr. Guest. But he steps around to stand next to Fortress, forming a sort of triangle. He says, "You know very well what's at stake here." And then she finally looks at him. "I know. But nothing is set. No, I suppose. Especially now, nothing is." And he turns and leaves the room. Fortress sits down. "Go. Be back as fast as possible. Don't get into any unnecessary danger. Find out what's happening here. And if something comes up, call me immediately."
Yes, ma'am. And Harriman will turn and walk out.
BB will follow Harriman.
Silhouette just kind of nods her head and follows.
Okay. The last person to leave see these two women share this meaningful eye contact for a moment. That hostility fades, but the posture is still there. Pantheon looks like she's ready to just spring at any moment, like a wild animal. And they nod to each other. And she leaves, following after you.
Brutal. I guess Baby just turns to Pantheon once she leaves the room and goes, where do we go now? How do we prepare? How do we get there?
I have things I need to get at home. We could probably, would be better to talk there.
Okay.
Right. We'll pack what things we need, get ready however you can, but we need to be in and out as fast as possible. And I need to not be seen. As you guys head to the house now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as when you're like in the confines of the house for
Yeah.
like a safer conversation, she says, I'll be with you, but sort of notably separate. We'll ride the bullet rail. It'll get us there. Maybe an hour and a half tops.
Here's the thing that I don't know if Silhouette could have instead of potentially Wi-Fi. But what if we had ear comms that Silhouette
Ooh.
made over the month?
That'd be sick.
So even though we're about to go in separate from Pantheon, Pantheon can still like know what's happening. You know,
Like
be
hear us
wired
and
up.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see why that wouldn't be something that she could make. I feel like that doesn't sound like it seems like something that's already like in world, like it would be a device.
Mm-hmm.
And she already has things like recording devices and stuff like that. So I don't see why like an earcom wouldn't be something she could have.
Yeah, I think that's not a terribly complicated thing.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to have you roll an intelligence check, or do you have a specialty or skill points in like technology or building or stuff?
I have a gadgetry specialty.
Yeah. This will be in gadgetry, so you can use any gadgetry rerolls that you have.
Okay.
And
What
this
would-
is a roll to see if you successfully built this.
What's the what would those rerolls look like? Because I don't have any like numbers next to the
If it's
specialties.
Oh, it's a specialty.
It's
You
a special
reroll
all of them.
Oh, okay. So roll for intelligence and then re-roll if I
Yes.
need to.
And you reroll each failure on each die once.
Okay. She got a re-roll, so I can re-roll once. You said
Once per failure.
Yeah, every failure you can re-roll one time.
okay. It's 5 and up, right? Or is
4,
it
5, 6.
4, 5, 6.
Success. Yeah.
4, 5, 6. Okay, JK on that one. Oh, okay. 4 out of 4.
Wow.
Okay. So I will say that you're able to whip this up pretty quick. I think
Oh, yeah.
you might have had the seeds of it before, or you have the elements to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But taking like an hour or so, you can like throw these together.
Okay. Is this something that we would want like a talk? I was gonna say push to talk, like a
A talk functionality.
yeah, or is it just like for her to hear us?
With a full success like that, it's whichever you want.
I think having both would be good.
Yeah.
I think like they could like be like what am I trying to say? Like they are earbuds, but then like they like wrap around the back and secure like under hair, so like they're less noticeable
Yeah.
or something. Maybe they're clear.
I like the idea of them being clear.
Ooh.
Like clear, and maybe they just like either like behind the ear or like, I mean, I'm skilled. Can it just be small enough that it like fits like right inside your ear canal or something? You can't even see it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Sick,
I love that.
Sick.
Yeah.
Gadget build.
I know
Yeah.
the clear was like crystal Pepsi clear, but in my mind I was also imagining like purple Game Boy,
Yeah.
clear. You can see the inside.
Yeah,
Yeah, good stuff.
That's also what I was thinking.
If I could ever find my charger, I'd still be playing my SP.
Hell yeah.
The SP is such a good system.
There was a
It is.
clear SP.
Yeah, well, there are lots of different variant SPs.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that. I just had a red one.
Mine was black.
That's so.
I'm like making eye contact with it on my dress.
I also
Long
made
ago.
eye contact with mine.
We're retro gamers. I also really quick before we head out fully, I'm gonna text Wi-Fi and say like be ready to record, and essentially just get across that like we did when we entered the house with the arsonist previously, or the assassin previously, whatever we want to call it. We kind of want Wi-Fi to do that when we're entering our interaction with this guy when we get to Amberley.
The most notable thing is that I've just topped off my first aid bag. And then I also got my good spear, my good killing stick.
Nice.
With the good special ore. But yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was done.
I was just gonna go ahead and say, like, Silhouette, at this point, like, before we leave, is Pantheon with us?
Yeah, she will leave for a little while to go get some stuff of her own
Oh, okay.
that
Well,
she's
then,
gonna bring.
I guess at least for us, presents. But I guess at
Ooh.
this point, Silhouette kind of goes around to, like, BB and Haramone and is like, come here, and like just like sticks the little thing in our ears and is like just explains that like we'll be able to talk to Pantheon, and yeah, that's kind of it. And I think she already, in terms of like equipment that she's bringing, I mean, like, magic pockets, she has them in her pockets. There's nothing.
Cargo pants are magic.
Yeah.
Okay. So during this period of time when Pantheon is gone, you guys do get a knock on your door.
A knock knock?
Hi.
Knock knock.
I'm not gonna probably be the one to open the door.
I'll go open the door.
You open the door and Porter, Link, and Echo are all here. And Porter is like kind of frantic on his face, and he looks around and he's like, is BB okay?
Yeah. I mean,
No.
She'll come to the door once she hears that it's Porter.
yeah. I kind of.
I am kind of making an assumption here. I should probably ask you guys first, but
Yeah.
he knows who you like. He knows your name, right?
Yeah, I don't think BB, like, I mistakenly, when I introduced BB in the first episode, didn't say her last name. I just said Bailey, but then I realized that worked really well with the relationship she has with that name and her mom and etc. So I think since we've been kicking it with Porter and Lincoln Echo, they probably would have picked it up at some point.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm running with the idea that they figured out based on context clues that this was your mom.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Based on knowing your name and seeing her face on TV. And
watching us like flank BB very protectively, probably away too, if they
On
were
the quad, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm not. We're in a bit of a pickle, I guess you could say, and we're about to head out on a mission.
A mission, wow. I didn't know it was possible for missions right now, but no, I understand. You guys should be allowed to do this. And also, you see Link steps forward and they kind of scratch their chin a little bit and they go, I am sorry if this is an intrusion, by the way. I know you didn't say it explicitly, but I sort of figured out that was your mom just based on, her face and your name, and I told the others I thought we might help.
I really do appreciate that, and I can understand figuring it out because we do look pretty similar. but I think this is something we have to do ourselves. But we'll tell you about it later. And we're not going in empty-handed. We have Pantheon.
Echo sort of like very lightly, but maybe a little less than lightly, just sort of like punches you on the arm. And she's like, well, at least we know you're not going to get us into trouble again. But what's happening out there?
It's knock knock.
Yeah, this was the
I'm
knock
here.
at the door.
Let me in.
Retroactive knock on the door.
What was Echo
Yeah,
saying?
yeah. So Echo says, well, good to know you're not getting us in trouble again. But that being said, she looks to Porter and he goes, we'll be here when you get back.
Yeah, hopefully after this, no one will be in trouble for a reasonable period of time.
I mean, we did go a whole month. It's pretty. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully it'll be 2 months this time.
Maybe
even three.
Imagine-
and BB just like share this like weird like synergy moment of like whoa.
Whoa. Yeah. That's friendships forming.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she wouldn't hug them. I know we were the hug squad earlier, but this is not the hug mood. But she would just kind of nod at them and probably be like, thanks, and then walk away and kind of go about the house, nervously pacing.
So as Team Fulcrum leaves on that note, is there anything else you guys want to do before Pantheon comes back?
Can we just search around the house and see if there's any type of weapon that Joe might be, or Silhouette might be comfortable with?
I thought Silhouette had the thing.
Yeah, your cool like cable whip thing.
I don't know if we talked about
yeah.
that in game or not yet, though.
I just haven't
Oh, we
mentioned
haven't.
it yet.
Yeah.
I was just gonna bring
Now's a
it
good
up
time to mention it.
I was gonna bring it up in combat, but like, because I want to see if I'll actually use it. Yeah.
Sorry for the spoilers.
Yeah,
No,
but we do.
you're-
Yeah, but there is a cool new weapon.
Tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it then.
Hermon probably texts Backtrack something stupid and gay
Mhm.
about needing comfort when they get back. Yeah.
He responds back, that is my middle name. Backtrack, Comfort, Vaughn, Superhero.
I hate him. I hate this man.
Superhero. Wow.
Garbage.
pretty garbage.
So Pantheon returns within the hour, and she's got her own like secret little hidden utility belt going on with stuff, and you see she's wearing a little jacket. She's got like a leather jacket that she's got stuff in the inside pockets in that are like pretty well hidden, and she's like, whenever you guys are ready to go, we'll do it.
Hermon
go.
will be like, there's a train in this many minutes. We can make it if we run.
When we get there, I'll bring you as close to the house as I can, and then as per the demands that this person made, I'll find a nearby vantage point before you approach. That's what this is for. And she pats a little pooch in her jacket.
A pooch?
A dog?
A pooch.
It's pooching out her jacket.
Puppy.
Okay, I like that.
Isn't that that's a word?
I've never heard that.
You've never heard
before,
that?
But I love
Yeah, that's fully a thing.
He's
That's
like,
fully
a
a
dog?
Mr. Menagerie?
Leave a comment if something pooching out your jacket because it's in your pocket is a thing. I am certain that it is.
it. BB's just imagining Pantheon like hitting a dog in her pocket.
It's menagerie.
I think like Silhouette does like give Pantheon one of the things though, right?
Oh, yeah. Just boop,
Boop boop.
Cool.
pooch.
Okay.
Ready.
So, Haramon, as you're getting ready, kind of separately,
Yes.
Pantheon will sort of knock on the door frame a little bit to come in.
Yeah. Just like as I'm like fixating the spear, just like do that. Back turned.
She walks in and she goes,
Affixing, not fixating.
I just wanted to get a gauge from you about this. I know that a lot has happened in the first week especially, and now I really tried to normalize things and give you the training that you came here for. But these events just keep happening, and I may not be the most formal instructor in the world, but things don't escape my notice, and I know that there is a certain friction for you in the way that I do things. And this isn't an accusation, but I can only imagine what this must be like for you, and I just want you to be comfortable here.
Do you know why I'm here?
No.
Did Fortress tell you the half truth I told Fortress?
That you're here to learn, to feel it out.
Essentially.
I took that my own way, but I don't make guesses.
I was chosen to be the singular person, one of the best of our best, to learn under one of the best of your best. To gather knowledge, to take in the culture, so that the people who have more authority than I do can determine if Alma is worth our time, put so rudely by one of the people on our council. And I didn't come here to be a superhero in the glitz and the glamour and working the crowd, as you so eloquently put it, Subterra Neon. And that has been weighing on me because I'm afraid, I was afraid, and I still am afraid that that is what you are training us to be. I was chosen, but I did not refuse because I figured I could spin it into doing good and learning how to do good better. But I don't want to be a superhero. I don't want my story and my people, and I don't want to be chewed up and spit out, dumbed down, bastardized, made easy for public consumption. I don't need that to do good, to save people, and I don't want that. And I'm afraid it's going to happen. And I'm reminded of that fear every time you take us to Shipshake. Every time we walk past that cafe, I know you know the one. But that's not important right now. No matter how BB actually feels about her mom, whatever is there that I've been allowed to see or hear about. It's clear BB wants to go do this, wants to go save her, wants to go figure out what supposedly this Igneous wants. That's all that matters.
What matters are our choices. We're not all here to train to be prestige. Everyone has their own goals. There are people here from all over the world. All over the world has seeds that have grown into what they are now, and those seeds come from Earth. I wasn't planning on telling you this immediately. I didn't want to seem like I was trying to relate to you. But I have been to the Titan Wild. I wasn't able to visit the Kasadi, of course, but there was a scientist that I fought. Ridiculous villain with a ridiculous name. Many years before you were born. I tracked him into the wilds. He was contracting other mercenaries to capture. He's using poachers to capture the beasts and titans that lived there and experiment on them.
Would I know anything about this? We keep
probably
a pretty tight eye.
I mean, I would say that you might have heard something like this, but not with regard to Pantheon specifically.
Right.
And it would be like whispers and echoes of things, because the Kasadi, you'll hear the rest of the story.
Okay.
She goes,
Paramon's face is just like,
I tracked him, and during the fight, I took a bite from a Titan. I can resist a lot of things, but my system wasn't exactly ready for a poison that strong. And if it hadn't been for a Kostadi hunter who heard the fight, I might not have lived. She came out of the woods. She said that it would be unwise to bring me into the city, but that she was willing to. I didn't let her. She treated me, and I was fine. I heal fast, but I didn't forget that kindness. What that hunter was willing to sacrifice. The danger that she was willing to put herself in. Just to save a person she didn't even know. That's enough. It doesn't have to go any farther than that if you don't want it to. But the people here, the heroes of Nova, the heroes not of Nova, who have done things their own way for years, for generations. They have a lot of wisdom. Though they may be younger than me, they may have more than me at times. Try not to judge them for the glitz and glamour. It's just what we grew up in. It's what this place is. We built it after the pages of the things that our ancestors grew up with, because we don't know any other way. We're all trying to build a new way. Or at least make sure this one doesn't fall apart. I'll leave you to it.
Hermone's just like doing the history math and is like, that was the thing that made like the hard shutdown happen of like the borders and anyone. Yeah, okay.
I mean, this is an old story. This is quite a while before you were born.
Mhm.
And because it never happened in the actual city, that Hunter didn't talk about it. The idea that Pantheon was there, all of that stuff is going to be completely new information for you. But the idea that there was something that happened like over 100 years ago that was like poachers were uniting under some scientist that was doing something like they tried to do something about it, but the problem was already resolved by the time they got there.
Mhm.
And they like reintegrated the beasts that could be saved back into the ecosystem.
But like if that happened, I think for a period of time there would have I think one of the other things, not to like go back to the beginning of the session, but like the Costati, Bibi would know this now, the Costati have a very specific emphasis on the balance of nature and how we as people relate to it. So they're very big on not taking more than they need, not letting anything upset that balance. If their intervention is required to keep the balance of the ecosystem, they do it with a lot of care and thought. So even that happening in general would probably have caused a lot of like, we need to shut down the jungle. And I think it would have been spun into a like, see, the outside world will try to fuck with us, so we shouldn't
hyper isolationist.
Yeah, for a period of time after that. And
so
as a historical event, like Hermon would be connecting the dots.
Yeah, there are dots to be connected. Yeah.
Also, fuck future Rainforest Cafe.
Yeah.
So she leaves. So she leaves, and you finish preparing. It only takes, a couple hours, if that. You pack up and head, actually, like, not to the Magrail station. I mean, you might take the Magrail to the connecting station, the bigger, huge station for the much larger bullet rail. And as you arrive, there is this massive cathedral-like building with people bustling all through, with the rails on either side. And you see that they're just these massive, like, sleek, white, silver, and black striped behemoth vehicles. You can see the sort of light blue, iridescent, like magnetic sort of polarity shit that's happening as it grinds to a halt and decompresses as the doors open and people begin to pour out, other people begin to load. You purchase your tickets. You head into the station, make your way through the crowd, and step onto the bullet rail.
Mm-hmm.
And it begins to carry you outward. The doors open in front of you. You step into this luxurious train. The furnishings inside are like these big booths. As you walk through the cars trying to find a good seat, you walk past like an entire restaurant that's on the inside. People are sitting with this like nice cafe. You pass through. This is like future Amtrak times a billion.
Hell yeah.
Roomy and spacious. The walls curve outward, giving that spacious feel. And the windows can be shaded or opened, much like Pantheon's window, or much like a Fortress's window in her office. And as you sit down, Pantheon sits like in a separate car from you guys. She nods to you guys and gives you this like very heartfelt smile as she steps through the next door, leaving you guys in your booth together. The window by default is set to clear. And as you begin to travel outward, the train moves at this very fast speed, incredibly fast speed. And as it moves through, you can see out the other side the sprawling cityscape. But the train curves. The rail moves outward and outward toward the coast. And you can now see the glistening waters of Paragon beyond. As you're riding the coast, you can see the beaches, you can see the blurry images of sandy beaches and people like moving outside. You see the skyscrapers change over the next hour or so. They begin to shift and grow smaller. And you start to see more countryside. You start to see green grasses and farmland. There are always going to be buildings in the first city. For the most part, there's not like super rural areas unless you're going to the other island, which you can maybe get a glimpse of. As you move closer and closer, you kind of curve along with the coast. And you can see these huge silver and red bridges that cross to the other two islands, one being the nature preserve and one being Alma, the Alma sort of executive island where the seat of government is here. And as you curve more toward that bridge, toward that island. Until finally you start to hear that you are approaching Amberley. You might not, actually it might not take you straight to Amberley because Amberley is a pretty small town. In fact, yeah, I'm actually sure of that. It doesn't take you directly to Amberley, but it takes you close enough that you can ride a mag rail to it from there.
BB is like standing at the door as it pulls into the station.
Okay. Pulls into the station. So by this point, it's like getting toward mid to late afternoon. Mm-hmm. I guess like it was 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so it's like around 4-ish. And you step out into a much wider, plainsier environment. You see that the grass has largely not been like paved over, and these big towers are interconnected. There are trees occasionally like jutting up through the landscape. You see a lot of these buildings actually are built with greenery atop the surfaces that are like utilizing that as a source of power and energy to like pump that back into the ecosystem in a way. So there's this sort of like mixture of a cityscape with that like integrating the ecosystem in that way, you know. Mm-hmm. And as you board the mag rail in the much smaller station here, even the fashion is a little bit different here. People are much more like wearing hats and vests, and it's not like, you know, the big like kind of New York style overcoats and high fashion that you would see in downtown First City. And the rail takes you farther up north. And you ride that rail for maybe about 15 minutes before you arrive in this small, almost farming town environment. And you're looking around and you see the grains just sort of waving in this light breeze, this light summer breeze on this warm day. But it's a little bit cooler because you're a lot closer to the coast here. So there's like this bit of salt air that hits your senses. And you see these very kind of triangular or pentagonal shaped houses. This sort of cozy suburban environment. And these neighborhoods that are popped up around what look like little farms. And as you make your way through, you'll see these areas of people who are keeping goats or cows or other like sort of proprietary Paragon animals as well. And you notice this very tight-knit, very sort of cozy is really the best word for it. Nobody really like super acknowledges you verbally, but there's a lot of like waves as you pass. People who are out with their families. You see like an ice cream shop.
Cute.
As you make your way through the city, you enter this, you know, when you're in the area of storefronts and stuff, you're like out in sort of market areas, and then you turn off like into the street with the very like suburban, you turn off into the suburbs. Like you turn off of the main street and you're in like a neighborhood.
Yeah, gotcha.
TM, right? You get to that point and you turn off and you see just like rows of these big painted in cool colors houses that are all very samey along a paved street. There are kids playing. And as you get here, Pantheon looks over and looks back at you and she goes, I think this is the place. But, I should probably leave you here. I don't want to take any chances. But I'll find a vantage point. She opens her coat a little bit and she just pulls out, like, peeking out these, like, industrial strength binoculars. She's like, I'll be watching. If anything happens. She reaches into another pocket and she brings out this little, like, red, slightly pliable orb. It's almost like Tide Pod consistency on the outside, but the inside is this, like, swirling sort of crimson. It's like the midpoint between smoke and liquid on the inside. She hands it to you and she says, squeeze this and throw it quickly into the air. This is a flare.
Oh.
If you need me, I'll be there.
Gotcha. All right, thank you. I take the flare and pocket it.
I trust you. All three of you. You've learned a lot more than I could have possibly taught you already. I mean, I'm gonna teach you more, but you're coming into this with skills that I didn't even know people your age could possess with such confidence. She'll be all right. She's in good hands. And I'll be right here. You see her just, like, look around to see if anyone is watching and just sort of, like, disappears faster than anyone can even keep track of.
So we know where the house is on this street, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You know where it's supposed to be, yeah.
BB will lead the group as they make their way over there. And you guys can probably see that her hands, which are normally, like, pretty well, powers are contained pretty well within, they're, like, pulsing with energy. Like she is itching to fight something.
Haramon will just walk with the spear already out, just like, here resting. And I think, like, once the house is in view, she'll, like, bring the spear out to stop BB and just look BB dead in the eye and say, no rash moves.
She doesn't say anything, but she nods and she understands. And we keep walking.
So what you actually see, just so you know what you're looking at, in the picture that you saw before, this place was burned almost completely, caved in, crumbled in big pieces that were enough to crush a family to death, presumably. But what you see here, in the middle of this row of houses, is one house that is in the middle of being rebuilt. It is the wooden, like, framework of the actual house is complete, and it's, like, boarded, but it hasn't been, like, completed. It's just the foundation, so it's covered, and you can't see what's on the inside. But you do see that there are, like, slats in the roof that are still not completely filled in yet. There's just, like, tarp there. It is very much, like, mostly rebuilt, but not quite. It's, like, halfway rebuilt.
Okay.
But there's no one there around, like, rebuilding it or anything.
BB will message Wi-Fi at this moment and tell her to start recording.
You got it. That's what she says.
Awesome. Yeah, I figured. We enter the house.
Okay. So in what way? So are you, like, kind of casing?
Yeah, I don't know if we would
We'll
send
go around
Silhouette
back.
alone. Yeah.
So who
Around
of
the
you?
back.
No, I think I know the answer to this. Haramon is probably the most perceptive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Haramon, you'll notice as you guys are moving around the house, looking at the entrances, figuring out where you're gonna come in, because, like, the door hasn't been put in full door form. They're like stand-in construction doors. You move around to the side, and you hear a very little tiny voice off to the side say, "Halt!" It's a child's voice.
Mm-mm.
No, I don't like this now.
No, thank you,
I don't want to
sir.
play this game anymore.
I look over to where, or is that more directed at Herma?
No, I think you guys all see it. Yeah, you all hear it.
Look over at where the kid is.
So you look over in the backyard of the house next door. You see this little kid, a little boy of maybe 8 or 9 years old. You see that he's sort of playing in the yard. There are toys like strewn about. He's wearing what looks like almost like a soldier helmet, but like a toy soldier helmet, and it's a little too big for him, and the strap is dangling down like under his chin. And you see he's got this blocky like retro style robot toy that he's playing with, and he's holding it up to you guys. He goes, and you hear him. He goes, "Oh, you halted. Thank you. I mean, state your business."
Hey, we're just here to one of our friends used to live here, so we're just here to see how the house has been built.
You were friends with Jeremy?
Yeah. Well, like we knew like his parents and stuff, and
Oh, sorry.
that's not in character. Me laughing is not in character.
Were you friends with Jeremy?
I was friends with the real Jeremy.
Oh.
Not about this. What do you mean the real Jeremy?
He kind of looks you guys over. You said you had the spear out
Yeah.
in the middle of this.
I do. I mean, it's gonna be out because it's the non-collapsible one. So it was either just gonna be on my back or I was gonna be holding it. So I'm holding it. You know?
Riding this train with this giant ass spear.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, aesthetic.
So he looks at that and he kind of looks at you guys and he goes, "Are you? How do I know I can trust you?"
Well, we're heroes, or we're training to be.
He did say that he was gonna train to do that too. If you knew Jeremy, or if you know Jeremy, tell me one thing about him.
Well, does anyone want to take a crack at this? I have a cop-out answer, but if you want to do something more concrete.
Go for the cop-out answer.
Well, the real him was a good person who wouldn't hurt anyone.
Okay. You're right. A lot of people were mad and suspicious. And they thought he was weird, but I knew that he was nice. And then when everybody thought he was nice, I knew it was fake. It wasn't him. You hear calling out from the window of his house in the distance. The not too distant distance, because you're standing next to his backyard, or his front yard, rather. You hear a woman's voice say, "Freddie, dinner is in 20 minutes.
Well, you might want to run along to your mom. There's not a lot of interesting stuff to see here.
Well, if you guys really are superheroes, then something interesting is happening. Maybe I can help. I mean, I don't have any powers, but I have a robot.
That's a pretty cool robot.
Joe here's has quite the hand with gadgets.
Yeah. I like them. They're fun.
You were friends with the real... Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you.
Sorry. I was just going to say, could you tell us what happened to Jeremy? Because we're not too sure.
Well, a lot of people thought that he was weird, and they said that he could be that he could be Violet, and but I don't think that's true. And you know, he never hurt anyone before. And he told me in secret he used to play robots with me, and he told me that he had to go away to go learn how to be a hero, but that it was a secret. Only his close friends could know. But you guys were friends, so you know.
Mm-hmm. Yo, straight up, Jeremy's Igneous, right?
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
100%.
But then when he came back, everybody said that the program, whatever he was in, it worked. They said that he was better now, that he was nice. But he never wanted to play with me anymore. And when he talked to me, I don't know how to describe it, but it was fake. It wasn't him. I know it wasn't him. And whoever that guy was, he's the one who burned the house down. And he says that quietly. It wasn't Jeremy. It was the fake. If you find the real Jeremy, tell him that I still have his robot.
Oh.
Here.
Oh.
And he runs into the house and just leaves you alone for like a minute.
Perception check just to see if there's anything else happening around us.
Sure.
Same.
What would that roll be?
Intelligence if you're just looking for things.
Okay.
I'm gonna look to see if there's anyone else in this suburb who is looking at us
2 out of 2.
out of their windows or anything.
Okay.
Oh my god.
2 out of 2 successes.
3 out of 3.
Yeah.
Oh my
Okay.
god, yes.
These are pretty quiet.
Okay.
Looking
Okay.
around, you see there are people who are out like watering their lawns or, you know, just sort of hanging out, but nobody's really looking at you or
Okay.
doing anything.
There's also 555s, which is fun.
Ooh.
That roll.
Mm,
It was cool.
that's very fun. Yeah. Hell yeah.
So after like maybe even less than a minute, he comes running out with a second robot that looks very similar to his. And he hands it to you. He goes, if you see him, give him this. But only if it's the real one.
Yeah. We will. Don't you worry about that.
You look at it and you see that it's like there's a little speaker on the
Mhm.
front of the mouth. And there's a little antenna. And you gather that this is actually like a little walkie-talkie. Little walkie-talkie robot.
Did you this kind of looks like a walkie-talkie to me. Did you have the other end of this walkie-talkie? I see. All right, well, I'll be sure to hang on to this and give it back to Jeremy when I see him.
Okay. Thank you.
Now run along to your mom.
Okay. Okay, bye. It was good to meet superheroes. And he runs off back into his house. Looking back at the house, you do see the carved out sort of boarded area where there is a door and sort of like a makeshift stand-in wooden handle. So there is a front door, but it's just not been like, they haven't brought in the good door yet, you know.
Gotcha. Should we go up to it?
Yes.
Okay. I think Bibi will lead us up to it.
Okay.
Oh, I opened the door.
You open the door and you see
Don't just
that
stand there.
there are like preliminary sort of tarps that are put up on these metal poles that are separating where rooms would be for the time being. I don't know if that's a real thing that happens, but I kind of like the idea of it.
Sure.
That it's sort of preliminary spacing out of the house. So that like for construction reference basically. And as soon as you step in, there's this faint smell of smoke that is happening that you couldn't smell from outside, but it's sort of contained here. and you see shadows moving under the curtain directly in front of you.
We're here. Like you wanted.
Close the door and come in.
Just love that we're closing the door of this house, which people can definitely hear from outside what's going on inside. It's not a full-on house yet. Yeah. I close the door and I'll lead the group into the room that he's in. Who I'm anxious.
You open up the curtain and are met with the wide, fearful eyes of your mother. But only you can read them as fearful because you know her better. To the rest of you, as she's sitting in this chair in the center of this area, her hands are bound, her legs are bound to the chair. She seems to be sitting, the chair is sitting square in the middle of what looks like a small pool of oil. And around the rim of the oil is this ever-burning flame.
Ooh.
And by all accounts, it should be traveling through the oil and burning her. But it's not. It's staying around the ring on the outside of the oil. And she looks at you and her eyes get wide for a moment, but then she sort of shrugs it off and she sits with this square posture, her chin up. She's gagged at the moment, but she's not betraying her fear at all. And standing behind her, sort of stepping more out into view, is a sort of average height man wearing dark jeans and like a black hooded sweatshirt. The sleeves are rolled up and you do see like a few wayward burns and cuts on his arms. He says, "Good. So you finally come to learn the truth. I didn't want to do it this way. I would have rather told you, showed you. I tried. But no one would ever believe it from me. Not without evidence, not without what he had."
What who had?
My brother. My first. I'm not me, you see. Not really. But who is nowadays? He takes down the hood, and you see a very pale young man who looks a little bit older than he should. He looks sickly, kind of gaunt. His eyes are dark circles, or framed in dark circles, rather, and sunken in. And his hair is just like a greasy, tattered mess of like wiry black straw. And Bibi, as you look at him for a moment, there is a twinge of recognition. You think back to everything, the blur of your previous life, things you remember from the PDP, and you can swear that you picture his face in the background of that life. No one you ever interacted with, maybe in a different circle than you, on a different track. But he was there, albeit he didn't look like this. He didn't look sickly. This man kind of looks like death.
How old does he look?
It's kind of difficult to tell, but he could be maybe 19 or 20, but the sunkenness of his features right now and how gaunt and tired, kind of veiny that he looks at the moment. He looks older. Makes it kind of hard to tell.
Well, we're here and we're listening. So why don't you just say what you need to say, and we'll all move on with our lives.
Listening. Listening is good. Everyone can listen. But you should hear it from the one responsible. And he reaches over and he pulls out the gag, and for a moment the flames flare up. But he controls it.
I will note this is probably the first time that Baby's mom has ever heard her speak in an accent before.
Okay.
So just because we haven't touched on that outside of session, it's a good thing to know now.
As he pulls the gag out, he goes, "Tell them what you did to me, to us." She looks straight at you, BB, and she goes, I swear, I don't know what he's talking about. I've never...
You sure you don't know?
The flames flare up again, and they lick up toward her for a moment. He goes, "You're lying!" Tell the truth.
When the flames flare up, Baby will kind of pull the gun on him. And once it kind of dies down, she'll loosen it a little bit.
Bang, bang. I've seen that before.
Yeah, I get the feeling you've been watching us a lot, but I'm still not sure as to why.
Tell them how you sold us. You sold Jeremy's blood, his essence, who he is. You gave it to the people who made me. Tell them. She looks at you and back to him. She sees your hand raised. You see her eyes are calculating. She takes in the spear. She seems to be measuring all of you. She looks at the flames and then back up at him and at you. She goes, I don't know what he's talking about. He was in the PDP. I oversaw his training, but I
don't believe you.
Believe what you want. It's the truth. Please.
Dr. Baker, what is your relationship to one Albert Rose?
He was an official in the AID. I've consulted with them before, but not exactly my department. I understand he was accused of something quite heinous. Something that also had nothing to do with me or my work.
Accused of the very thing you're being accused of right now.
Look, I study blood samples. My team studies the DNA of everyone who passes through the PDP and government officials who volunteer. Of course, I have superiors, others, both that I know and that I don't, who analyze my findings. But I never gave DNA to anyone. Short of passing it off to my superiors, that's where it ends. Everything that I did was theoretical. You know my goals. You know how important this research is.
Yeah, well, everything's theoretical till it can actually happen, right?
That's how government talk around for you. She
Look.
won't tell you how they made me. She won't tell you who made me. My parents, if you would call them that, the people who brought up my brother, he tried to help. He was the one who you trained, not me. They made me and they tested me. Tested me in this quaint little neighborhood to see if they could fake it. To see if anyone would notice. They didn't count on him finding out. They didn't count on him taking responsibility for me. So I burned these liars to the ground. And I ran with him.
Who?
With Jeremy.
Well, if you're not Jeremy, then who are you?
I guess that's the question.
Because I think you're still probably Jeremy, deep down. And I can prove it to you. She takes out the walkie-talkie. What was the kid's name?
Freddie.
Freddie. She goes on, "Hey, Freddie.
Yeah?
Got Jeremy right here and he wants to talk to you." She tosses the walkie-talkie.
He reaches out to grab it. And just as he does, you hear this sound like a silenced gunshot. This poof. Almost too fast to even process. The man standing before you, clutching this toy robot, just sort of blinks as a small line of blood drips down the center of his forehead.
Fuck.
And an ever so slightly steaming hole between his eyes. He just blinks. He looks at the robot and he smiles. And falls.
Was that fucking troubleshooter?
No, she's not here.
Yeah, well, do we know that?
You hear this very faint sound. As soon as he falls, the ring of fire that is no longer being controlled makes contact with the oil and begins to move rapidly toward your mother.
I shoot the concussive force thing and knock her chair out of the way.
As you shoot that, you see, I'm not even going to make you roll for it. It's totally going to work. You fire the concussive blast and her chair is knocked back. Part of it shatters on the ground and she's still tied up, lands there. But you hear another sound behind you, a gentle padding of feet landing down below from up above on the rafters. You hear this. Do you turn to look?
Yeah.
You turn and you see an armored figure, all in black,
This fucking...
with that same black shining helmet over their face, and that same smile curled up. As this figure steps up to you, you hear their voice for the first time speak. If I had only gotten here a few minutes earlier, we wouldn't have had to do things this way. But you know I'd like to see what you can do. She reaches up
I'm gonna tackle that.
her fingers in a very familiar motion.
Oh no!
Oh,
And that's
no.
where we're gonna pick up next time.
Oh
What?
no!
Uh-oh. It's like in Zelda when you have to fight yourself, but it's Shadow version. It's Shadow BB. It's Shadow BB! What do you
maybe
mean?
it's Shadow everyone.
Ooh, that's a good
If that
point.
person has the power to mimic powers, we're fucked.
Oh,
I don't
Yeah.
understand.
Oh.
Oh gee
Hey,
whiz.
hey, Beebs, you want to throw up that flared, though? Next time? Maybe?
Yeah, next-
Oh, shit.
Next time on Dragon Ball Z, you want to throw up that flare though?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, we will leave you guys with that.
What?
Join us next time for whatever this battle is about to be.
I'm so sorry
What?
if we blew out the mics just then. I'm so sorry.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. See you next time.
This sucks IRL. Bye.
Bye.